players. Jjakji, of course, a lowly diamond player on the North American server compared to the Master. Not that that really matters for anything. But okay. I don't even need to hit Control X. Actually, I want to try that real quick. Oh, it does swap it. That's so cool. Okay, good to know for the future. But, guys, this is the ace match. Everything has led up to this point. Almost 6 hours of casting, and it's all been worth it just for this series alone. But there's been a lot of other great players here today in the Zotac Cup. Let's quick homage to like Johnny Rico, Fraz, a lot of the other guys who played today that played really well that we got to cast. So, unfortunately they died to get here, but because of them, we've got Jjakji, we've got Polt, and getting into this in the top left corner of Entomb Valley, the last map of the day. $100 on the line, but pride, I think, more than anything else, it's the Red Terran Jjakji!
And his opponent, spawning in the lower right-hand corner of the map. In the blue trunks, he is sponsored by CM Storm. You can follow him on Twitter at CM Storm Polt. Ladies and gentlemen, the GSL Super Tournament champion, it is Polt.
And I'll call it right now, guys. Everybody who has half a brain that likes to cast StarCraft, they had better be scrambling over grabbing these replays because this has been an amazing series. Forget this game, forget any other game altogether. I just can't believe we've had the good fortune of witnessing both of these players, and I'm so glad everybody here today on chat, watching the VOD later, I'm glad you were here with us to watch it.
Yep, this is a historic moment, and of course, two GSL champions battling each other in the Zotac NA Cup. This is a testament to this tournament. If this is the first time you've checked out the Zotac NA Cup, well, of course, this is this very, very special treat. Not the typical finals that we see, but Zotac NA Cup is a variety of international players competing against each other, cross-server. We do see European players showing up for this, of course, Korean players showing up for this, but we have seen North American players making it to the finals in the past before. And, these two guys have seen each build in these first 4 games. Rifkin, what the heck are they going to do in the 5th game of this series now?
I don't know, Polt, he's got to be sitting there like, man, I thought I had this 3-0. I was so close to just taking it all. Like, he was right there. You could feel it. You could taste the money. But Jjakji putting up such a good fight these last 2 games. It feels like he's a completely different player than in Game 1 and Game 2.
Yep, and Polt going back to his tried and true Reaper opening here, adding on another barracks too, so he'll likely be going for double Reaper production, and Jjakji recognizing this, going to be pulling his Marines back to the main base. He is going for the variant of the Terran opener that has a early command center here, and based off of the reactored barracks, going to have to be seeing whether or not he places down a factory once he hits that first 100 gas. He most likely will be.
Polt's going to poke around a bit, but Jjakji, of course, with these Marines, is ready to react. Gotta be careful. It's not fun trying to trade with Reapers early, but as soon as you get more than one of them, Reapers become that much more effective.
Yeah, and Polt pretty much just saying, I'm going for my standard build, dropping his command center on the low ground, of course, going to be, benefiting from a slightly earlier mining than Jjakji, who has opted for the command center in the main base, which will take a little bit more time to float down, but we're really going to see what kind of micro Jjakji can pull out here. He's only got 2 Marines and 2 Reapers, Rifkin, with the heal, can typically take down 2 Marines, and they are going to get these Marines as they pop out of the barracks, but good micro there from Jjakji, keeping everything alive.
I want to comment, like, this is, wow, he doesn't lose a single unit. These Marines still live. Well, he lost one earlier, but this is the SCV, it doesn't count. But I want to comment, like, this is not an easy map to utilize Reapers on. These are very small bases, there's a lot of choke points, and Polt very boldly trying to come back with 2 more Reapers, but at this point, Jjakji, I don't think he cares if he lost these Marines. They're on borrowed time. They shouldn't be alive right now.
Yeah, absolutely true. They do not have the combat drugs available to them to regenerate, and as Polt moves in here with the Reaper into the main base, he sees the fact that the starport is being placed down, delaying it significantly here as well too. So small victories from both players in the early stages of this game, and Jjakji's going for an earlier Widowmine here, while Polt is going for Stimpack right off the bat, Rifkin.
Yeah, it's pointed out here by Bad Fat Panda in chat. You gotta remember, Jjakji, he's suffering from ping from this. Like, whether it's a lot, whether it's a little, this level of micro, when you don't have the perfect connection, you're playing from Korea to North America, like, it's that much more impressive.
Yep, Polt being in Austin, Texas, of course, not feeling the same latency as Jjakji, but, I haven't seen either player, or I haven't seen Jjakji complaining about it. He did go down 0-2 in the early stages of this series, if you're just tuning in, and he has brought it back to a 2-2 tie, and he has
What a
done it
great
through
scan.
macro games, man. It's not through any type of cheeses. It's not doing this one base proxied anything, but yeah, great scan going down there
It
from the
got
10 player Polt,
everything.
seeing everything.
But Polt, I mean, I gotta say, like, it feels like economy is the strongest point when it comes down to these two. You know, it's questionable army versus all-in versus economy for a lot of other matches, but from what we've seen today, I feel economy has played the biggest role in this series in particular.
Yeah, and one of the great benefits that Polt had from that scan is that he saw that no tech lab on the barracks means that he's going to have stim way quicker than his opponent. And as we saw Rifkin before, stim versus combat shields, and they come into the favor of the stim player. Polt's probably feeling pretty good right now. He's adding on that starboard, getting the reactor onto his factory. I wouldn't be shocked to see him go for what we saw earlier in the day from him, and that's drops. Two drop shits full of Marines with stim could be insanely devastating to a player who has not gotten stim yet, and Jjakji just starting.
I'm wondering if he's going to go for, like, trying to kill a lot of workers here, that double mine split that's been so effective all day. Looks like that's going to be the case. And Polt might think, like, okay, it's just a mine, no big deal, but there's a lot of Marines with this, too.
And they're targeting down SCVs.
Ooh,
and
he does get the Widow Mine in the main, and unfortunately, Jjakji's got to get out of there, boosting away.
Alright.
Where's that scan? These Marines are standing right over top of it, Doom. Where's that scan? It's 6
trying to build
seconds.
a turret.
It's gonna be so close. I'm watching the energy of the command
He
center.
has to know it's there.
Looking at the reload time. It's
Jjakji
gonna
knows too.
kill a lot of Marines.
Oh, and he focuses down
Oh
on the
my
one Marine.
God. Like, one Reaper would go to, like, it would have a field day on Polt's Marines currently, I have to say. This is... That was rather unfortunate, taking that damage early on.
That was unfortunate, but Polt was able to clean up the medevac from Jjakji to the south there, though. So, although he did lose one Marine, take damage on his other ones, he was able to knock off 100 gas from Jjakji early on here. And Jjakji's actually adding on, yet again, a very early third command center, while Polt is actually taking his third command center at that third base position. So, both players moving into a later stages of a macro game here, and neither one really going to be able to do a lot, but that Reaper is finally going to fall here from Jjakji as he continues to try to clean down these rocks. They're separating him from his third base. And back at home here, Polt is adding on a tech lab onto his factory. Going to be going for the standard composition here: Marine, tank, medevac. This is pretty much the best option for Terran players that I've seen. No mech from either of these guys in this series. So obviously this is what they're more comfortable with in this situation.
So much tech and so much production when you're casting Terran, by the way. It's like, at this point, Jjakji's actually almost hit the middle of the screen with his production through that tab. But okay, let's take a look at the income right now. Both players on dead even workers, but a lot more gas coming in for Jjakji at the moment.
Yep. And more barracks on the field here for Jjakji too. Well, actually, Polt has actually got his 5 barracks up established before Jjakji has. And is he going to be adding on more reactors? Not just yet. All right, not just yet. Jjakji, yes, insane defensive position. Really, really being careful. Doesn't want to lose to any any type of attacks in here, and Polt is going to see this with his medevac moving forward.
Again, with a really nice positioning on these tanks, though. Like, Jjakji does a great job of spreading them, because the worst thing is, like, when you clump tanks up, it also makes them very easy to take out. Like, yes, it's going to concentrate their fire, make them do more damage, like, to a single clumped area, but it also makes them easier to just kind of get in there and swoop over.
Sure, and okay. All right, so let's take a little bit of an inventory here so far in this game. Jjakji has just started his +2 infantry weapons upgrades, while Polt on the other side of the field is sitting on +1 and researching his +1 infantry armor. But he has added on his armory just now. Where is that? Okay, second engineering bay has been added on too. He is going for an additional factory as well. And man, both players with these third bases established, Rifkin, it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do some damage. Or it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do any damage whatsoever to each other.
I'm quite curious why Polt chose to take these rocks down. I guess it's for a later fight if he thinks Jjakji's trying to sneak a base in, but yeah, he's going around the map, clearing up some terrain for the time being, so it's not anything bad. I'm just curious on his thought process behind it. But one thing I want to comment on, and it's so rare to see, but I'd love to see nukes make an entrance to the game, Doom. Nukes or battle cruisers, because all series we've seen a lot of really awesome bio play, and bio's really good. That's why they're doing it, guys. There's no question. But I gotta say, just to, you know, it's Entomb Valley. It's the ace match. You know, they've gone up and slugged it out in every way possible. I'd love to see it take that next step.
You never know. You absolutely never know. Jjakji is going to take the step to prevent any type of drops from coming to his main base, and or at least to proactively prevent them from doing any type of damage with this placement of his sensor tower, which is covering him totally to the west-hand side. He does see that there's a blip on the map there out there for Polt, and that's pretty much Polt just seeing to see if any type of medevacs are going to be trying to skirt around the outside edges of the map. A little bit of engagement in the middle of the field here. Jjakji does have a higher tank count than Polt in this situation, and he looks like he wants to get aggressive.
It's going to be very questionable taking the aggressive stance in this, though, because while he does have the higher tank count, the Marines, they've both got such high Marine count. It's really, again, TvT positioning is everything.
Let's drop the third base. The medevac will be cleaned up, and only three Marines are going to make it out. Easily cleaned up there from Polt. Jjakji is going to be posturing around the banana hallway on Tomb Valley, but this Marine is going to be spotting it out. So it's going to be up to Polt to put himself into a position to deflect this. If Jjakji can get a good siege position on the natural of Polt, he can take down some refineries potentially here, but Polt has moved his siege tank into position. It does cover the outside edge. He will get the first shot off on that siege tank.
Oh, and that's rather unfortunate, because of course you can't afford to unsiege it.
Oh, man,
but the
Jjakji's
drop...
moving in with the drops.
But there's a lot of Marines here as well, so I mean, he kills the tanks, but... Oh, it's such a weird trade. Meanwhile, at the third, these Marines stemming in. They're going to try and focus on this command center, but oh, they are met with the Marines of Polt.
Yep.
Jjakji, though,
is forced to try to defend, try to react here. This factory is in peril here. That siege tank may not make it out alive. He is trying to get it out, but it will fall.
I also like that he's crippling the gas income of Polt, because again, the gas, the income, the economy, whether it's a lot, whether it's a little, it's been making a big difference this game. But big engage in the middle of the map. Polt coming in with that 2-1. Actually, both players on 2-1 at this point, but the tanks unsieged. They do siege, but not in time, I fear, as Polt just powers through this with his medevac count.
Huge win there for Polt. Polt at the same time is establishing his fourth base, the south position on the map here. Jjakji has maintained the siege up on the natural of Polt and has prevented him from intaking any more gas at that one refinery. Polt's really going to be in trouble to try to break this. I don't know what he can actually do besides get maybe a Banshee out or something. Maybe get a Viking in play.
If he continues to economize in that fourth base, then who cares if he doesn't have access to half of his third? Or sorry, natural, I guess.
This
but
is
Polt's
true.
always coming from behind. Doom, he's going to go for both sides, I think. Nope, never mind, turning around from the top of the banana hallway, as it's been dubbed.
Jjakji is dropping in the main base now, trying to take down some reactors, and this is actually a good decision from him. Although the medevac did fall, these Marines are still being very useful in this regard. Big engagement in the middle. Once again, yeah, getting a big win. You know, cutting off these reinforcements is hugely significant.
You know, when you watch it, I don't know if you ever played it, it's like Zone Wars or whatever on like the custom maps. We basically got Marines just spamming in Polt here, and Jjakji, he's going to rely on this bunker once again. I can't tell you how many times this game he's fallen back to it, and it's done him well, but this might not be enough this time, Doom. As Polt is just powering through each of these Marines with their own personal medevac.
Oh, this is absolutely horrifying position here for Jjakji. He's got this army to the south doing absolutely nothing while Polt is ravaging his current infrastructure. There are no tanks on this side of the field, and I mean, what is Jjakji going to be able to do from here?
He can't really afford to move out. He doesn't know what's going to intercept this force. He doesn't have enough production at home to deal with, and like the medevacs, there's just too many of them here, Doom.
Gosh, and his factories were built on the natural here. He's going to be able to get a siege tank in just a second, but as Polt continues to move in, he's taking down more and more units, and Jjakji's he's just sitting still with his army to the south. There's nothing he's going to be able to do to break. Yeah, he can't break that natural.
Polt picking up and going home, but I mean, man, the damage was pretty severe. He didn't kill too many SCVs, but they were forced to be pulled to deal with it. But, oh man, again, Jjakji's army's just so far away and it can't do anything. Blackhawk down.
Polt could potentially block that fourth base from Jjakji to the north, though, but the Marine did not move in position, so Jjakji is going to be able to establish that as a planetary fortress. Meanwhile, Polt has established that planetary fortress to the south. Jjakji finally moving his army out from that eastern position on the field, and will be trying to meet Polt head-on as he tries to move in. Polt scanning forward, seeing where the tanks are, forcing a siege position, but if he moves to the west, Rifkin, there is nothing to combat him.
No, and I think he has got good sense of this. Tons of scans going down. He's going to try to intercept these Marines as he knows he's got that medevac advantage.
But Jjakji's got the +3 advantage here, so if Polt takes an unfavorable position with this engagement, Jjakji could potentially destroy this, but there are simply too many medevacs on the field for Polt.
I wish he would focus.
A few more minutes.
I wish he would focus the medevacs. Polt just barely losing out here.
That's the benefit of +3, Rifkin. Man, despite having less medevacs on the field, he has more damage output. He's able to drive Polt back. That was a big win for Jjakji in this situation.
But man, like I said, Jjakji kind of skyrocketing here. 75 workers to the 67 despite that loss he took earlier on. But Polt, he's got a lot of tanks now. This is something he's lacked.
Where the heck did that come from?
Every time Polt's been pushing out, he's had these at home defending. And every time Polt's pushed out, it's been with just Marines. Now that he's going to have tanks with him as well, he's going to be that much scarier. And oh man, those +3 weapons, Doom, we've seen them shred before.
We sure have. And yeah, that's a significant thing to mention.
Oh, Jjakji's actually... Yeah, he's only just starting his +3 armor as well as his weapons. He's really going to be behind on the upgrades.
Yeah, with Polt having that upgrade advantage available to him now, he probably just scanned forward and saw the fact that that's the case. And here we go, moving forward with an aggressive position. He's got more medevacs this time and better upgrades. So it could be Polt coming out on the other side of this. I'm going to zoom in to try to see what I can see. But Jjakji deflecting Polt once again.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like you said, he's got a lot of army supply wrapped up in those medevacs, not a lot in damage. So
drop down in the main base of Polt here is going to be ripping up some of the SCVs mining gas. And meanwhile, on the other side of the field here, Jjakji has a lot of idle SCVs in the main, so, you know, Polt is going to clean this up in the main base here and establish this position outside here, but Vikings have joined in the fray. Marines are going to try to focus down. Warning is going to drop, though, but before they take a shell from those tanks. Ugh.
It's funny how long it takes these Vikings to make an appearance, but every time they do, they're so effective. It really begs the question, like, why doesn't Jjakji make 2 of them earlier?
We have to consider the fact that with Jjakji having more SCVs, it means that Polt will be having more attacking units on the field. And here we go, big stim in from Jjakji, but he doesn't have those +2 armors. Regardless of that, he is going to be taking down the tanks here in this situation.
13 medevacs are just useless without anything to heal to.
This is so true, Rifkin, but now with the upgrade advantage here for Polt, he's actually going to be forced to pull back.
Jjakji breaks his lines, and again, this is another really back and forth TvT. I just can't even wrap my mind. Like, I would have lost my cool 10 minutes ago. This would have just been like, okay, pull my workers, I win or lose. This is what's going to happen. But both these players with some amazing game sense, some great stamina and fortitude to be able to keep making these intelligent decisions this late into a game. Now we got the medevacs again.
The one thing I do want to mention is that Polt has a significantly larger orbital command count than Jjakji, which is going to allow him to have more mules. So despite the fact that Jjakji has more SCVs on the field, Polt's going to say, that doesn't really matter. Not only am I going to have less workers on the field and greater armor than you, I'm going to have a better income with more and more mules being dropped down. And man, this is the funkiest Olympic ring I've ever seen in my life. Both players doing almost equal tri-ellipses in both sides
it's
of the
like,
map.
It's not it's the special Olympic rings is what it is.
Well, drop going down to the south base here. Jjakji is going to be spotting out this planetary fortress that is morphing, and actually Polt isn't in a position to deflect this. Meanwhile, Jjakji's moving.
Are we going to have a trade going on again?
We absolutely are, Rifkin. Now both players moving deep into the waters of each other's territory. Polt is going to go for the infrastructure, though. While
Planetary's got so many SCVs repairing, and he's losing all his Marines to it. Well, Jjakji's pushing in, and I feel that Planetary is going to be the downfall of Jjakji here, but the tanks at home are defending very nicely.
Absolutely, and he's going to have a higher tank count. No, actually, even tank counts for both players here. Oh my god! Huge explosions going down that planetary fortress.
Like a quarter of the health at a time. Tank's going to try and move in here, but without the... I mean, the Vikings are zoning out that vision, and once again, that's going to hurt the most. But Jjakji's natural, it's been ravaged.
Yep, well, as I was saying, that Polt had a better orbital command and better income opportunities to him. He is now back onto 3 bases, and his 3rd base is at very low mineral patches, while Jjakji's 4th has gone completely uncontested. Polt is going to be moving into natural, though, but again, those tanks on the high ground are going to be able to deflect this. Orbital command is going to drop, though.
And Doom, I just decided this in the lower right is the Venn diagram. Of like games I play as Terran and games I win as Terran, and in the middle it's just TvT.
Okay, well, Jjakji now is slightly supply capped, and that's due to the fact that Polt has taken out that orbital command and a couple of supply depots.
Will the same mistake be made here, though? I mean, Jjakji just kind of fell for the orbital, or for the planetary, but pushing into the 3rd. But this doesn't allow Jjakji to finally move out of his own base.
Yeah, but Polt has the optimal position here, but Jjakji is going to attempt to drop on top of these tanks, and he is going to, oh my god, some good unsiege there from Polt.
But that planetary is not being repaired, and Jjakji losing it. That is so crucial. He needs that base to be alive, Doom.
And more SCVs are going to be falling here. Polt, of course, does have the supply deficit in terms of the workers count, but he does have greater orbital command count once again. So he's got 190 supply, and looking at his army supply here, 151 to the 153 of Jjakji. If these two ever do meet pinpointed with both of their armies fully intact, Polt will have the advantage, but if Jjakji has anything to say about that, he will potentially get a better siege up on Polt here. And now Polt's army is actually kind of in a little bit of a precarious situation.
Yeah, this is, you know, it's so easy to look at this and be like, oh my god, Polt getting that base, he's totally going to win this game, but let's not forget, this is about the 5th time they've traded. Here we go again,
Dropping forward with the Marines and the medevacs, drawing the fire of those siege tanks as he moves forward and absolutely decimates everything from Polt. Polt is now on the back foot with no significant mining going on the field. He has dropped a command center at this base on the east side of the map, and he will be transferring SCVs at this moment in time. He needs to establish a position in the center of the map and cut off any type of pressing forward attacks from Jjakji, but Jjakji's tank count is so huge right now. Rifkin 19 to the 7 of Polt.
Big stim and big siege in the middle of the map.
I don't know if he's able to combat these tanks. There's simply just too many.
SCV's actually being pushed into this as well. I mean, Jjakji, I think he's just going, he's trying to go for the win.
So many medevacs just dropped
Look
there.
how much blood and carnage and tank parts are in the middle of the field right now.
Oh my god, this is absolutely insanity right now. No mining for Jjakji on the field, Rifkin. Every unit is so insanely important to him.
Yeah, I want to comment. I was going to say this before the fight, but every game, Polt has been ahead in tech, one way or another. We see that again here with that +1 armor. We get the, oh man, tanks can't take it out in those front lines, but again, these Vikings, man, they're so important to this.
If he can pick off the tanks one by one, though, Polt, he should be able to come back in this game. These tanks are super clumped up, and they're very low health. Now, Polt is the one with mining on the field, and now Jjakji has established his 4th base as well, so both are not necessarily even, but they're both finally mining once again.
And Jjakji's finding himself with a Marine hit squad and absolutely nothing at home that can deal with it. So he's continuing to try and push forward here, but Polt, with this small group of Marines, might just win the game, quite frankly, with this
oh my gosh.
right here.
So insanely smart from Polt to just send a small clump of Marines, knowing that Jjakji's probably hurting from the economic standpoint here. Jjakji trying to inch forward with his tanks, but he is being shelled first by Polt, who is making great scans and great leaping forward in this game. He's at 162 supply of the 84 of Jjakji, making 13 Marines at once as Jjakji is trying desperately to get some sort of income on the field. If Polt knew that this 4th base was there, he would certainly be dropping it, but he has not seen it yet. And he's got to be thinking Jjakji's on his last leg. As long as he can survive this, he should be able to win. And the supply is so insanely reflective of this Rifkin. Oh
this
man,
is so ridiculous.
If he would just scan forward, he would know that this army is not nearly significant enough to take him out. Here we go.
I think it's pretty safe to say. I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth this game, but I think Polt's got this new. I mean, we see another great drop with medevacs in here, but the Marine count is so damn high. The supply difference is so vast. Polt up almost 100 supply, 78. He almost has 100 Marines. Doom.
And he's done it all off of a low SCV count, really benefiting from the fact that he got enough orbital commands to sustain his income.
That last orbital.
It has finally been scouted out. Desperately, Jjakji is trying to repair it, but he's slowly running out of minerals. No more minerals on the field for Jjakji. SCVs are falling one by one. He's in an inferior position with his tanks to the south of the map, and if Polt just moves in on top of this, he can certainly end the game. But he's taking his time, he's being patient. I don't blame him in this situation. Definitely going to be dropping this orbital command first and then going for the decisive victory in this game. If he moves forward, one medevac is going to fall once again, and Polt Rifkin, I think he's done it.
I am literally day 9 standing up while I cast this right now because I can't stay seated. This is so insane, guys.
And here we go, the push forward. Way too many Marines for Jjakji to handle.
GG!
Polt. CM Storm Polt, ladies and gentlemen, has taken down the 1st place prize in the Zotac NA Cup. 650 of you have witnessed this occur live. I'm getting nerd chills right now. I hope you are at home, and I hope you significantly enjoyed that broadcast.
I can't even, man. And guys, for those who don't know,